Jocko, do you have a suggestion for martial art for a wheelchair user? I'm considering FMA, which is Filipino martial arts, or Krav Maga. I want exercise and self-defense.
Well, again, this is, as usual, my first suggestion for true self-defense to protect yourself from the world and the evils of the world. Concealed carry. Get a weapon, learn how to shoot a weapon, spend time at the range, train with it. Shooting a weapon is a martial art. Mm-hmm. Carrying a weapon is a martial art. Knowing how to use that weapon in various situations, it is a martial art. So shooting is a martial art. And so that's the most effective martial art to know and to have the possession of is concealed carry weapons. So again, I'm not saying that just because this individual's in a wheelchair. Because, obviously, being in a wheelchair does put you at a disadvantage. But it doesn't matter wheelchair or not. There's always going to be somebody that's bigger and badder than you. And if there's not somebody that's bigger and badder than you, then there's 3 or 4 people combined together that make a person that's badder than you. That's called a gang. And I will tell you right now, any 3 people in the world can beat anyone in the world in a fight. Like 3-on-1, you're going to lose. Okay. Now, can you get a guy that knocks somebody out, turns around, it does happen. But if the people that are attacking know anything, you have a really bad chance of winning. It's very tough to win a fight 3-on-1. So train with firearms, get a gun. And, also, and you mentioned the Filipino martial arts, and I sometimes fail to mention this, to carry a knife. But yeah, you should absolutely have a knife. You should know how to use it. So that is your Filipino martial arts, generally learning to use a knife and carry a knife. And then what am I going to do after that? I'm going to do the same thing I always talk about. Jiu-jitsu, boxing, wrestling, and Muay Thai, kind of in that order. Now, Jiu-jitsu, boxing, wrestling, Muay Thai, we start with Jiu-jitsu, we move on to boxing, we learn wrestling, and we learn Muay Thai. Sometimes Muay Thai and wrestling, you can flip back and forth which one you want to focus on. But the deal is with all 3 of those, you have to adapt them to the situation that you're in, whatever that situation is. Now, if you're in a wheelchair, I don't know what this is going to look like for you. Mm-hmm. I don't know what that looks like. You got to learn it. You've got to understand it. And then you got to make things work. You got to figure it out. You got to test it. You got to see what's effective, and you got to see what isn't effective. And you have to adapt. And I've trained with all kinds of different people that have their own obstacles to overcome. Mm-hmm. I've trained with guys that have amputees, missing 1 leg, 2 legs, missing arms. I've trained with people that are blind. I've trained with people that are paralyzed. I've trained with people with traumatic brain injuries. And they all work and try and figure a way, and they do figure ways to adapt. You got guys like Kyle Maynard. Do you know who that is?
Yes, I do.
Yeah, he's got no arms and no legs. Yep. And he trains jiu-jitsu, and he wrestled. And he wrestled in high school. Like, he competed, and he's competed in jiu-jitsu. He's actually competed in MMA as well, which is crazy. But you know what? He adapts to the situation that he's in. There's Anthony Robles. He's NCAA 125-pound champion. And by the way, he has 1 leg. 1 leg. His other leg is gone, like, from the hip down. Dang. 1 leg. And he won the NCAA championship. That's incredible. Mm-hmm. And he just adapted. You got Jean-Jacques Machado. He's got 1 hand. Jeff Rial. Mm-hmm. Jeff Rial, he trains with us. He's got 1 hand. His other hand's gone. He was born with no hand. Mm-hmm. oh, guess what? Now all you jiu-jitsu players out there that you think about when you're doing jiu-jitsu with the gi and think of how much you grab. When you're training with Jeff, you don't even know that he doesn't have a hand.
No.
You just don't even know. He just does other stuff. He's adapted to it.
Yep.
As a matter of fact, he uses that stump to choke you and attack you.
It gets in there.
Yeah, he sneaks that thing in there. What about Max? Maximilian?
Yeah.
You know Max, right?
Wheelchair.
Max, like, he's paralyzed.
And that's recent too. So
Yeah.
it's
He got paralyzed, what, 4 years ago? 5 years ago?
something like that. Yeah.
He was like maybe a white belt, maybe
Yeah, I
a
think
blue
he was a blue
belt.
belt.
He's a blue belt.
I think he's purple now.
Yeah, I think he's a purple now. But, I mean, he's got basically, I think it's about sternum down.
Yeah.
He's completely paralyzed, sternum down.
Yeah.
And he's figured out. He actually has to move his legs. You know, like when you're rolling with him, he's got to grab his legs and move them into different positions.
Yep.
Which is crazy. But he's still training. He's advancing and he's learning to adapt. He knows how to choke you. He's figured things out.
Yep.
So whether you're short or tall, big or small, old or young, strong or weak, wheelchair, no wheelchair, leg, no leg, learn it. Learn it all. And start with jiu-jitsu, learn some boxing, some Muay Thai, then wrestling. And then once you get that base built up, start looking at Krav Maga, start looking at Kali, so you can learn, if you want to learn weapons. And obviously, from the beginning, the firearm trumps everything.
Yeah. Yeah, especially when you're training with like any kind of disadvantage or whatever. I think it's important to understand what your potential goal will be in a self-defense situation.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're, like if you don't have legs like Max, for example, like you can learn a lot of stuff that is just defensive.
Mm-hmm.
And if you know jiu-jitsu, and I'm going to sound like a jiu-jitsu advocate, which I am. But if you learn jiu-jitsu, you'll learn how to be defensive, how you can shut down another guy's attacks. And so, like I said, like if your disadvantage is pretty big, just understand what your goals will be in a potential self-defense situation. So you're not going to be like, okay, I'm going to learn these martial arts so I can kick as much ass as I possibly can.
Yeah, that's the point. The point of this is that you have to adapt.
Yep.
You have to adapt. You have to say, okay, this is what I'm able to do, and I can't do that move, but I can do this move.
Right.
And by the way, you can't do this, but I can do that.
Yes.
And like we were just talking about Jeffrey Al. Jeffrey Al is the guy I train with most regularly out of these folks, and he has adapted and does things that is totally unique to him, and he makes an advantage. He takes a disadvantage, turns it into an advantage.
Yep. Yeah, there's an MMA guy who was the champ in one of these shows. I forget. It might have been Bellator, maybe. I don't know. I forget. But he had one hand too, and he was the champ though.
Yeah.
I think one
How
arm.
do I not know who that is?
I forget his name too, but it was a while. It was like maybe a year ago or something or more.
A while ago, a year. MMA's
Well,
been around for 20 plus years.
I know, but
in
I'm just
America.
saying, the current champ always seems so new.
Yeah, that's awesome. That is definitely outstanding to see people overcome that, and what you can do. You just got to have that the creative mind to get in there and adapt to the situation.
Yeah, and it goes along with kind of what I think it was, I forget who, but how they say, a little exercise is better than no exercise,
Mm-hmm.
So sometimes like if you find yourself in a wheelchair or something like this where he'll be like, oh yeah, that's not for me, but this obviously is for him, so get out there and like how you say, like learn something or learn it all, whatever. That's better than not knowing nothing.
Yep.
Way better too.
Yeah, it is.
Especially if it's jiu-jitsu.
Good. Get after it. That's it.
Next question.